In this episode, we're going to talk about what to eat at restaurants so you can still lose weight, and that way you still get to go out and enjoy yourself. And we've already talked about fast food restaurants, so this time we're going to talk about sit-down restaurants or takeaway restaurants. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Overweighted Podcast, where we get real about the struggles of being obese and needing to lose a whole lot of weight. My name's Malaika. I'm your host, weight loss mentor and coach. Join me on my personal weight loss journey to lose about 200 pounds, and as I share my very real experiences, plus some simple, successful, and sustainable weight loss tips and mindset shifts so that we can mark lose weight off of our to-do list for good. Okay, so in episode 17, we talked about what to eat at fast food restaurants so that you can still lose weight. And so this time I want to talk about sit-down restaurants or restaurants where you may order takeaway food. And before I get into that, I want to ask you a question. So I want to know, what is the number one thing that's holding you back from losing weight and keeping it off? And I want you to leave me the answer over on my SpeakPipe account. It's malaikaburley.com/message. So leave me the answer to that. What is the number one thing holding you back from losing weight and keeping it off? I want to know, because I want to do some episodes and helping you with the things that are actually holding you up from losing the weight. And then, like I said, keeping it off. So leave me a message over on that SpeakPipe account and I will answer it in a podcast for you. All right. And if you don't want to leave me a message, then you can go ahead and shoot me an email. The email address is in the show notes. All right. So let's talk about what to eat at restaurants to lose weight and how you can order healthier foods when you're eating out. And I know for me, that's actually something that I've been working on this year, or I'm supposed to be working on it this year, where I'm not eating out as much as I used to. But I still do it. Mostly I eat out at restaurants. I do have fast food at times as well, but I love eating out. I don't mind cooking, but if I had a choice, I'm going to choose eating out over cooking. It's just something I love to do. I love trying new foods. I love trying new places. And so I like to eat out at restaurants. However, it's not great for my wallet. So that is why I'm trying to cut back on that. And also typically the calories will be higher when you're eating out as opposed to eating at home. So there's double benefits for just going ahead and cooking at home. But we're still going to eat out sometimes. So I want to give us some tips to help us do a little bit better while we're eating out. And so these tips are going to help you with cutting back on some of the calories of the meals that you're having. And so, like I mentioned before, for those of us that have a lot of weight to lose, the simplest way is really going to be for us to look at calories in versus calories out. And so these tips are really going to help you cut back on some of the calories that you're eating when you're eating out. Like I mentioned, it's going to help you make some healthier choices. And just make small changes every time you go out. Just really keep it simple. You don't have to try to do it all at once, but just do a little bit. That's just going to help you move forward in your weight loss journey. And you're still going to be able to get what you want, but it's just going to make it a little bit healthier for you. All right. So let's get into these tips. So the first tip I have for you is to check the menu before you go. So if you already know that you're going out to eat, it's really good if you can just jump online and check the menu before you go. That is going to help you have a plan in place. You can look at the menu, kind of decide what you want ahead of time. And that way, if you have a plan when you go to the restaurant, you won't be as distracted by like the smells that are there. You won't be triggered by what's on other people's plates to maybe get what they're having. So if you can check the menu before you go to the restaurant, that's really going to set you up for success because you can plan out what you want to have ahead of time and already have that in your mind. And when you're looking at the menu, one of the great things that restaurants are doing nowadays is that they're really highlighting some of their healthier options that they have. So look for some of the low-cal options on the menu. I know for one of the restaurants I go to, they have lighter side options. That's what they call their healthier meals. And those are meals that are under 500 calories. So look for that designation, or maybe it's a section of the menu where they are showing you which of the options are going to be healthier options. And so usually if you pick something that are one of their low calorie options, that's going to be a little bit better than some of the other meals. So look for that when you are looking at the menu, either ahead of time or once you get there to the restaurant. If you couldn't check it out before, then look for that designation or that section of the menu. Another thing that you can do is just skip the bread. And now I'm not saying don't ever eat the bread, don't have the bread. If you love the bread, then go ahead and have the bread. But if bread isn't that big of an issue for you, then just go ahead and skip it. It's just extra calories adding to the meal that you're already having. So when the server comes, just tell them that you don't want the bread, or if they bring the basket, have them take it away. But if you really want to have the bread, then maybe take one piece of it and then have them take the basket away so that you're not tempted to have more. And that way you still get to have it, but you're not like overindulging in the bread before your meal even comes. So that's the next tip. Skip the bread if you can. If you don't want to skip it, then just maybe have one piece and have them take the basket away. Another idea to help you lower the calories on the meal that you're having is to eat a salad first. So you can eat a salad or maybe even a soup. If you're going to have a soup, maybe you have a broth-based soup over like a creamy soup. But I would suggest eating a salad first because that's going to help take up some of that room in your belly for less calories so that you're not eating as much of the entree once that comes. And so with the salad, you want to look for like garden salads over chef salads that tend to have a lot of meat and cheese in them. So look for a garden salad. Also, when you're looking at the dressings, look for a vinaigrette dressing over like a ranch or some other creamy type dressing. Vinaigrette dressing typically is going to have less calories than your ranch or some other creamy dressing. So the next tip I have for you is to limit the amount of calorie-filled drinks that you're having. So you want to limit the amount of like alcohol or soda that you're drinking. So of course, water is going to be your best option for a drink, whether it's sparkling water, regular water, bottled water, whatever. Water is going to be the best option for your drink. But if you want to have soda or alcohol, then go ahead and have that. What you may want to try to do is maybe just have one glass of it instead of having multiple. So that's going to help you cut back on the calories there. And if you are having alcohol, then choosing something like a wine over like a margarita or a pina colada, something that's really sugary, is going to help save calories. And then also I know there are like those spritzers that you can have as well. And that's going to help you save calories if you decide you want to have an alcoholic beverage. So again, limit the amount of calorie-filled drinks that you're having, and that's going to help you reduce the overall calorie count for the meal that you're having at the restaurant. So when you're looking at the menu, another thing you want to pay attention to is how the meal is prepared. Okay, so there are certain words that you want to look for, and these words are going to let you know that it's probably really high in calories and high in fat. And so these are items that you kind of want to stay away from. Okay, so the words that you want to look for are creamy, buttery, stuffed, breaded, smothered, au gratin, cheese-filled, scalloped, Parmesan, and sauteed. All right, those words, although delicious, I will admit, those words are the words that are usually meaning that whatever this item is, it's going to be really high in calories. So if you see that on the menu, then look for something else to order instead of those items. Okay. Also, if something has a sauce or a dressing, then usually lighter, thinner sauces are going to be better than creamier sauces as far as the calorie count. Another thing, if you're getting a pasta, a marinara sauce is going to be less calories typically than an Alfredo or a scampi. So stick with the marinara. And another thing that you can do with the butters, the sauces, and the dressings, just ask for those things on the side, because that way you have more control over how much you're putting on your food, because sometimes they can be really heavy handed with that stuff, and that's where a lot of the calories are coming from. So ask for those butter, sauces, dressings on the side so that you can decide how much you want to put on your food. And one thing I like to do, especially with salad dressings, is I will dip my fork into the dressing and then dip it into the food, like take a bite of the food. And so that way I'm just having a little bit on my fork with each bite. And so I get the flavor with each bite without actually pouring it on top of my food. So it's not like drenching my food, but I still get the flavor of that dressing or sauce in every single bite. And another tip when going to restaurants regarding meats is to look for meats that are grilled or baked or broiled as opposed to fried meats, right? And you probably already knew that. Grilled, baked, and broiled meats are going to be better than fried meats. And like I mentioned before, watch out for the sauces that they're using in preparation of these meats. But grilled, baked, and broiled meats are going to be better. Usually whatever the fish option is, that's going to be a lower calorie option as well. So look for a fish option. And if you're getting chicken, then skinless chicken breast is going to be better than like a fatty like chicken thigh or leg. If you are looking at beef, then look for like top sirloin, tip, side steak, bottom round. And then you want to avoid or have less of like the prime rib. So that's some tips as far as the meat. And then the last couple things I want to share is, of course, to eat mindfully when you're eating out. That's going to help cut back on the calories, because if you slow down while you're eating and pay more attention to what you're eating and the signals that your body's giving you, you're going to be more aware of the fact that you're actually full, and then that way you can stop eating when you're full. So one thing you can do is put the fork down in between bites. So you take a bite of your food, put the fork down. If you want, take a sip of your water at that time. And one thing I like to suggest is that you talk more than you eat. So if you're out to eat with someone, just have a really good conversation with them and focus more on the conversation than on the food, because hopefully you're out with that person because they're good company. So have a good conversation with them and focus more on that than on the food that's in front of you. The other thing that you can do to help cut back the calories, and I mentioned this on the episode about quitting the Clean Plate Club, but one thing you can do is ask for a to-go box right away and then put half of your food in the to-go box so that you can eat that later or the next day, and then just eat the half of the food that's in front of you. So that's going to help you cut back on calories as well. And the last tip I have for you is one that I will probably never do personally, but it's to skip the dessert. The desserts are typically really heavy in calories for desserts that are at restaurants. So if you skip the dessert, you're going to skip out on a lot of the calories for that particular meal. But what you can have instead is maybe have some coffee, or maybe you can have some fruit if you have that sweet craving. But if you want to get the dessert, of course, go ahead and have the dessert. You can split it in half and then maybe save half of it for the next day, or you can get the dessert and eat the whole thing the next day instead of eating it that day. Or if you're at a restaurant with someone, then you can always split the dessert with them, and then by default, you're going to eat less calories because you have to split it with them. All right. So those tips are going to help you so that you can make better choices when you go out to your favorite restaurants, so that you can move forward towards your weight loss goal. So I do have some homework for you. I want you to look up the menu of one of your favorite restaurants, and I want you to take these tips and make some notes of some of the better options on the menu. And if you can, print it or take a screenshot of it and then put a red X through any of the items on the menu that you want to avoid or items that you want to limit. And then put a green circle or a really big star next to some of the better options on that menu. And that way, the next time you go to that restaurant, when you're looking at the menu, it's going to draw your attention to some of the better options on the menu. And by the way, if you haven't grabbed the 5 keys to simple, successful, and sustainable weight loss, what are you waiting for? Go grab that. Take a look at that free video. It's at malaikaburley.com/5keys. So that was a few tips to help you eat better at some of your favorite restaurants. I hope that was really helpful for you, and I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you got any value out of this or something just really resonated with you, can you do me a favor and leave a review? It helps others find the show so that it could help them too. Also, I'd love to connect with you on other platforms. I'm Malaika Burley on IG and YouTube. And go grab my free webinar, The 5 Keys to Simple, Successful, and Sustainable Weight Loss at malaikaburley.com. And of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks again and have a blessed day.